Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Mike was going to help me, but he's been on the phone all morning, and it's only 8:45. It's been one of those mornings. So anyway, I just wanted to do a quick update and some news. First, I'm gonna beat the dead horse. The Listen, Obey, and Be Blessed song, like I said, is causing a lot of discussion between Jehovah's Witnesses and activists and ex-members and PMO family members. But I want to thank Atlantis for sending me this information. I'm going to put the link down below. This is Catholic Kids videos, and they have stuff like Little Star, A Christmas Story, Easter Bunny's Easter Song, 2-year-old Catches the Holy Ghost in Church, Whisper a Prayer, Angel Prayer, animated surprise Easter eggs, Apostles' Creed, and I mean just birth of Jesus Bible stories, and it just goes on and on and on, okay? Like I said, this is Catholic Kids Videos website. In this video, they have the video from jw.org where they're doing the song Listen, Obey, Be Blessed. So it just gets even worse. Okay, if Watchtower has not sued them, then they're in cahoots with them. I mean, it's just as simple as that. Because we know Watchtower, goes after all of us activists for the, copyright on some of this stuff. And would they really allow them, a Catholic website, to have their videos? I mean, we're scratching our head over this one. I mean, and it was added in 2016. Now it's interesting because there is a recent review, and it's from a JW, but the review was November 10th, 2020. The song at number 108, copyright, Listen, Obey, and Be Blessed, is from our worldwide brotherhood, an organization called jw.org, and not Catholic. Please remove before the brothers get involved with a copyright claim. I will be informing them of this breach. Good luck with that, dude. Now, this is also on Reddit. And, my goodness. It's jw.org's video. I mean, you can go on jw.org and see it. And, it's on this Catholic Kids Videos website. So, like I said, I don't even know what to say about that one. Now, something else I wanted to bring up is I want to thank everybody so much who has sent me this article from the Times in the UK. It looks like it was published November 12th, 2020. And I wanted to read this. Jehovah's Witnesses fight back against abuse inquiry. Jehovah's Witnesses are resisting an investigation into child protection in the organization with an unprecedented campaign of legal action, the charity regulator claims. A statutory inquiry into the British arm of the organization began 6.5 years ago and has been repeatedly delayed by an alleged lack of cooperation and deliberate obstruction. Well, we know Watchtower is famous for that. The Charity Commission said that its most recent request for a meeting with senior officials was refused and followed by a letter initiating further litigation. The difficulties facing the investigation emerged at the Independent Inquiry into Child Sex Abuse, which has been studying how religious bodies handle abuse allegations. The regulator began an investigation in May of 2014. after concerns about past allegations against members of Jehovah's Witness congregations. A linked inquiry into the Manchester New Moston branch concluded in 2017 that abuse victims had been forced to confront their abuser, an elder in the group, after he was released from prison and applied to rejoin the congregation. Now we know, a very similar situation went before the Utah Supreme Court this past week. And that was horrendous because the elders in a judicial hearing forced the victim to hear the audio of her attack. Sick, sick, sick. The commission ruled that there had been mismanagement of a charity and that trustees did not cooperate openly and transparently with the investigation. Big surprise. Harvey Grenville, a senior advisor at the commission, told the IICSA that in both inquiries the level of legal challenge that we receive is simply unprecedented. He said, I rang one of the branch committee members up, urging or requesting that we just simply meet face to face to discuss those items. They declined to do so, and in response we received pre-action correspondence of further potential litigation. Wow. The wider inquiry is examining the Washington Bible Tract Society of Britain, the umbrella charity for the sect. Paul Gillies, our buddy Paul Gillies, a senior elder in the Jehovah's Witnesses, said the investigation was manifestly unfair. Of course. Just like, them whining to the Australian National Redress Scheme. Now, I wanted to cover a few things. Now, I'm going to put the link down below. This is the Australian Parliament Redress Scheme. And this was a letter that was submitted to them by Jehovah's Witnesses. 8-page letter. And I'm not going to read all 8 pages, but I will put the link down below to this. And since this was on the government website, I can show some screenshots from this. On page 2, I thought this was interesting. From a legal standpoint, it's the second paragraph at the top. From a legal standpoint, all congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses are separately registered charities with their own independent committee of management. No separate legal entity in Australia exerts authority over the congregations. The governing body is in charge of the domestics. Everything. So if there is no one that has authority over the congregations, then that would make every single congregation their own entity. See, that just opens a whole big can of worms, doesn't it? And then they go on to talk about, the investigation against Jehovah's Witnesses and the recommendations, and Watchtower is basically saying, oh, well, we can't do that. And they're also saying, we cannot join the redress because we don't have the institutional settings, like Sunday schools or camps and stuff like that. So then they go on to brag about how many articles they've done, and they did an extensive, frank discussion on the sin and crime of child sexual abuse in 2017-2018 of the annual regional convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. That was not a frank discourse. All it said is don't allow your kids to go to the bathroom and in the back rooms and stuff of the Kingdom Halls by themselves. Watch your kids at the Kingdom Hall and conventions. That's basically all they said. And they made it the parents' responsibility. So this is a typical, cover your ass type deal. Then they talk about the May 2019 issue of the Watchtower, where they had frank discussion, the evil of child sex abuse in those articles. But I wanted to go to page 4 here of this letter The second full paragraph. Some who have made submissions to the Joint Select Committee have asserted that Jehovah's Witnesses believe it is unscriptural to report an allegation of child sex abuse to the secular authorities, misinterpreting 1 Corinthians 6, 1 through 8, which counsels Christians not to take their brother to court. Now, I don't know of any activist who actually said that. We've never said Jehovah's Witnesses said it's unscriptural. We've said that's the excuse they use, and they've implanted this into Jehovah's Witnesses. Whether it's intentional or not, this is how most Jehovah's Witnesses feel. The published materials of Jehovah's Witnesses clearly show that this claim is patently false. The book, How to Remain in God's Love, published in 2017. Now this is a little bit different because this is the original one. This isn't the updated one on jw.org they're talking about. This is the original one. Keep yourselves in God's love. This one was published in 2008. Clearly states, if a serious crime is involved, such as rape, child abuse, assault, major theft, or murder, then a Christian who reports such a crime to the secular authorities does not violate Paul's counsel in 1 Corinthians 6, 1 through 8. A similar statement is made at page 223 of the book, Keep Yourself in God's Love, published by Jehovah's Witnesses in 2008. Okay? Now, I just read their quote. This is what the 2008 says in the footnote. In rare instances, it's not rare, one Christian might commit a serious crime against another, such as rape, assault, murder, or major theft. See, there's no mention of child abuse. In such cases, it would not be unchristian to report the matter to the authorities, even though doing so might result in a court case or a criminal trial. Okay, took me several minutes of scrolling, but I finally found it on page 254. I had to actually download the book and then do a search of it, because on the jw.org, like I always complain, their search engine sucks, because they don't have page numbers on their books, so when you're scrolling you have no way of knowing, and you do a search of a word or a phrase and all kinds of things come up. Some articles and videos that don't even have anything to do with what you're looking for. So anyway, I did find it on page 254, and it does say if a serious crime is involved, such as rape, child abuse, assault, major theft, or murder, then a Christian who reports such a crime to the secular authorities does not violate Paul's counsel. So it is in the book, like I said, page 254, under the endnotes number 30. Now, in closing, I just wanted to read here on page 6 of this letter that Watchtower submitted to the Australian Redress Scheme. National Redress Scheme. As stated above, it is apparent that the redress scheme has been designed to provide appropriate redress to individuals who have experienced institutional child sexual abuse. And institutional is italicized. For the purposes of the legislation, an institution does not include a family or an individual, and abuse perpetrated by an individual outside of an institutional setting or within a family is not within the scope of the scheme. As explained above, the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses does not have the institutional settings that the redress scheme is designed to cover. Allegations involving someone associated with the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses usually relate to abuse perpetrated by an individual outside of an institutional setting, 2, within a family, or 3, against those who held no appointed position within the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses at the time of the alleged abuse. Therefore, there is a greater likelihood the redress scheme would be applied to the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses in a much broader context than the legislature intended. Next, the standard of proof in the redress scheme is lower than the civil standard. Reasonable likelihood means the chance of the person being eligible is real and not fanciful or remote. This is a very low threshold, particularly in circumstances where an institution has no right of appeal and the institution disagrees that the abuse occurred in an institutional setting. So you see, they're trying to split hairs here. That's what we call it here in the United States. And I mean, they just give thing. But what's interesting, on page 7, about 2/3 of the page has been redacted. Boy, I'd like to know what is under all this black. And then they go on to quote the European Court of Human Rights, UN Human Rights Committee. And the appellate courts worldwide have repeatedly rejected such criticisms and upheld and affirmed the religious beliefs and practices of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's because they lie to them. They lie to them. So, anyway, and of course it's signed by Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, Australia, Asia. So I'm going to put the links down below to all of this, and you all have a wonderful weekend. Bye.